Welcome back to another episode of the Family Album. I'm your host, AJ Tenari.
And I'm Matt Glass.
Last week, you heard our Halloween special where Matt, Tom, and I discussed the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
I'm not going to lie to you. At time of recording, I've watched it 7 times.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn. Like this year?
Today.
Well, happy Thanksgiving.
Speaking of Thanksgiving, these albums have nothing to do with the holiday.
That's true. There is no block for November.
No, there is not. We have, yet again, an interesting dichotomy of albums.
That's true. Much like our return to Season 3, these albums, on the surface, have nothing in common, but perhaps we can dig deeper into some layers and find some similarities, some common ground, if you will.
Yes, some common ground indeed. This month, I gave AJ the album Masterpiece by Big Thief.
And I gave Matt Some Rap Songs by Earl Sweatshirt.
You were kind of mentioning before that there's like a similarity of like kind of their lo-fi-ish sound.
Yeah, they're lo-fi-ish sound, and more so, I'd say they are related in terms of their lyricism and their concepts and themes. They're both they have very depressing elements or aspects to their like both of these albums.
Yeah, no, I most definitely.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So I guess without further ado, shall we just hop right in?
Absolutely.
Matt, what album do you want to start with this week?
Oh shit, I forgot. I'm the guy who chooses.
You're the one.
I am the one. I could really go either or with these albums.
Okay. Honestly, let's talk about Some Rap Songs first.
All right, cool.
I feel like we can knock this out pretty quick considering it's a 24-minute album.
Yeah, that is very true.
But getting into a little history, Some Rap Songs by Earl Sweatshirt was released November 13th, 2018 on Columbia Records, and it is the third studio album by beloved hip-hop artist and Odd Future alum, Earl Sweatshirt. He got his start very early in 2007 when he started rapping and posting music on the internet when he was just in 7th grade.
7th grade?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And that eventually led him to joining the rap collective Odd Future in 2009. 2 years later.
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
He released his first solo album in 2013 and eventually left Odd Future in 2015, where he has continued releasing music to this day.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So wait, I don't know if I just missed it from your description, but like what year is this again?
This is 2018.
2018.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
And this album is pretty beloved in the hip hop community, also in MU core.
I see.
Yeah, in the same community that loves American football.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. I guess I can kind of see why. It definitely has some quirks that I think could be seen as like not iconic, but like
definitely like something you gravitate towards.
Yeah.
I feel like this album, we'll discuss it more as we go track by track, but it really shows like the anatomy of sampling very well.
Yes. I'd say both very well and some parts that definitely could have been
polished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But should we just hop right in?
I think we shall. So this album opens up with the track Shattered Dreams. It is a very smooth beat that has this kind of repetitive hook of this kind of like held high note before kind of retracting, and then that kind of just repeats as the song goes on. As we hear Earl Sweatshirt's very low-key, nonchalant flow, almost kind of singing over it the whole time.
Yeah, no, that's kind of like his style for the most part.
Yeah.
Like when I listened to Voir Dire when it came out, it was really, really fun.
Mm-hmm.
I love his flow. His flow really reminded me on a couple of tracks of one of his tracks on Voir Dire. It's Heat Check.
Okay.
That's what it's called.
Gotcha.
He has a tendency to rap over like really soulful sounding beats.
Mm-hmm.
Like from what I've like listened to of him, it's either like really smooth or like really soulful, which is cool. And I feel like you see that all over this album.
Definitely, but it's also like arranged in a way that's very unconventional for like a rap sample.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, which is very, very cool. Like in comparison to like Pinata by Freddie Gibbs or something, where like that's just like very kind of like straightforward and very smooth. It kind of just takes like bits and pieces and then plays around with it to make it like even more different.
I think what's cool about this track is like it's delightfully. I know you said it was kind of like a smooth instrumental, but I found it sort of like delightfully uncomfortable to listen to for like a long time.
Honestly, yeah.
It gets fatiguing, but like I feel like the sour 3-part harmony that has like the minor chord that just keeps going and going, plus like the lumbering pace of his flow, it definitely like it definitely sets the tone really well.
Yeah, 100%.
But at the same time, I thought it was a pretty decent opener, especially for like what it was trying to go for.
Yeah, it very much sets the tone for what to expect for the rest of this album. And I guess cards on the table, the reason I picked this album is because I'm not really a big fan of it.
Okay.
I know this album is like very beloved in like the music community in general. And I just haven't really found that same love. I'll say like listening to it more for the podcast has grown my appreciation for it. But Matt, this is not an American football situation.
I figured.
Yeah.
I think it's rare for you to have an American football situation, if you want me to be honest with you. Like, I don't think, considering I made a full turnaround with that album opinion wise.
Yeah.
I feel like it'd be really, really hard because you seem pretty set in your ways whenever you like an album or don't like an album.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured it probably like.
Yeah, I'll say this album didn't jump from D tier to A tier.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
The one that will though is probably the Yellow River Boys. Old Saint, what's it called? Oh fuck, I was about to say Old Saint Piss. It's called Saint Urinal Station.
Saint Urinal Station. Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there, because right now it's going in at a solid F tier, and we'll see what happens when we get to that episode.
The last thing I'll say about this track is that I think like I love a good rap chorus, and I feel like this one definitely has one of the best.
Yeah, I agree.
He writes really good ones.
I feel like he has kind of like his writing style is like very subtle, where it has like kind of like thinkers. It's kind of like something that like just hits you like while you're just kind of like passively listening to it and you're like, oh shit, that's pretty good. I
feel like if you generally like this style, you would really like Billy Woods.
I've listened to Maps when it came out, but only once, and that was last year. So I need to like revisit it.
You got to listen to the one with SpongeBob and Checkpoints.
Okay.
Those two are pretty good.
Gotcha.
Those are two tracks. I forget what the actual album is called.
Yeah.
It has like a picture of a house.
Oh, Diabetic Test Strips, that one? We Buy Diabetic Test Strips.
Is that Arm & Hammer? That's
Maybe?
that's Arm & Hammer.
Oh.
That's his collab group.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
Well, we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. Maybe I'll bring it on. I did enjoy Maps, but we got to get through this album first.
That's true. And what better way than by sailing the red waters?
The cherry waters, if you will.
Yes, this bid that only 3 people will get. Meet Matt and Tom.
Oh man, but yeah, the next track is called Red Water. I really love the sample on this one. It's like this cut up, like glitchy, fucking like
it's spasming
piano
almost.
Keys. I love that shit.
It's very unsettling in a way, which is really cool because it has like this like very almost strained vocal in the background as like the main hook with these like kind of like oscillating or just kind of like offbeat dissonant keys that kind of like play over it. Does this one have a feature too? I forget.
I don't think this one does, no.
But the vocal, like the quality of the vocal is significantly worse than the first track.
Yeah. You know what's funny? Like that is one of the biggest complaints I have with this record on a later track.
Gotcha.
But I guess I'll bring it up now.
Yeah.
I think like in some ways the samples are used very, very well and like work for what he's trying to go for. And I think in other ways they're way too present.
Yeah, that's pretty valid.
I have a better way of phrasing it, but I'll save it for my final thoughts because I have I think I phrased it pretty well, and I'm gonna make you fucking wait, family heads.
We'd like to keep you on your toes, family head.
Don't fucking time skip.
If you do, I'll find you.
Don't press K or L, or if you're on a tablet, don't double tap the left or right side. Well, you can double tap the left.
If you're on YouTube, don't go into the description.
That's true. Spotify,
we trust you.
We trust you. You guys are cool. You're not expecting visuals when it comes to
friendship ended with YouTube. Now Spotify is my best friend.
I think this one really reminded me. Have you ever listened to Donuts by Jay Dilla?
I have.
This sounds like a D-side.
Yeah.
Like this genuine, but like in a good way, I think.
I think like honestly, like this whole album is reminiscent of that style of sampling where it's kind of like really playing with like what you do to sample, like changing speed and tempo and focusing on like a specific section to create a new melody based off that. Almost like similar to Floral Shop in a way.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see that too.
Though not as well done, obviously.
Okay, this is such a weird side tangent. I promise I won't like make it a huge thing, but I was at work today and I heard a song that was like used as a sample in a Floral Shop song.
Oh shit.
And it fucking blew my mind.
Nice.
I was like, what? Why do I know this? I might have to play Floral Shop at my job because we have like an aux that's connected to a fucking subwoofer.
Yeah.
And it bangs. It
nice,
makes every
dude.
song sound so sexy.
So punchy even?
Yeah, so punchy. Yeah. And yeah, no, I might have to bring Floral Shop. I might even bring some of this on because I don't know if I even told you this. A couple of these songs I already had in my general hip hop playlist.
Nice. Very cool.
The last track and I believe and track 8, The Bends.
Gotcha. Well, now you have the whole experience.
We'll get to the Bends in a little bit.
Yeah, like Radiohead.
What else to say about track 2? It has like, again, kind of like the lethargic pace, but I do like the beat on this one. I like the way that it kind of cuts up the piano, and with that, it doesn't just play with the actual like hitting of the keys, but also just the reverb of it resounding in whatever space it was originally recorded in. I think it's interesting. Yeah,
I think like this whole track has like this kind of echoey vibe to it, which I guess is an intentional choice because it comes up again a little bit later.
I don't really fuck with the bars on this one though.
Yeah, I like the Papa Call Me Chief, like having that like reprise towards the end. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
But I'm not really a big fan of this song. I feel like it definitely shows what this album has to offer, but I'm just not a big fan of what it has to offer.
No, that's actually a pretty decent way to phrase it.
Thank you.
One last thing I will say, the sample you mentioned before, like how the samples are arranged.
Yeah.
I don't know if you meant that in terms of like their actual like recording or like arranged in your audio periphery.
I think that they're recording, like basically how he splices it up to create something new.
I think it's interesting all across this album how he splits up different parts of the samples that he's using, where he has it so prominently like in the right.
Yeah.
And then he'll have his vocals like on top of another part of the sample and then like really quiet in another part or like rearranged in like a different way in that sort of like
that space
format, I was going to say, in that sort of style. I never really heard that before because I feel like with a lot of sample heavy albums that have like kind of short tracks, you typically have more of a well-balanced.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Like, especially going back to Donuts. Like, yeah.
It was weird to have sort of a Beatlesy style, like, production technique, but applied to samples.
Yeah, honestly, that's a really good way to put it.
Yeah, it was almost reminiscent of, like, that, and also kind of like Jack Antonoff on fucking Gone Now and Good Morning, that song.
Yeah.
But I didn't hate it.
I remember that.
I don't think my fatigue doesn't reach until, like, well, like, a little after the midpoint.
Yeah.
So,
which is fair. I'm just not the biggest fan of this one, but I do really like this next track though. Cold Summer's Fucks. I really enjoy the sample of this track.
First of all, the sample, it's so nice and sweet.
Yeah,
I really like. It's like ear candy. I'm gonna start saying that more. That's gonna be my new punchy for this season. Okay. I'm gonna say if
you're
something's
taking
good,
that back.
It's gonna be ear candy. I'm gonna still say punchy sometimes.
Yeah,
but like ear candy is gonna be like, oh, that's good.
Yeah, punchy goes for like the post credit scenes, right?
Yeah, exactly. He said it. Dude, the fucking bass on this is amazing.
Yeah.
I love how fuzzy and just overdriven it sounds, but like, although it's like very present in the mix, I love how it's not like loud.
Yeah. It definitely helps provide just like the warmth that like the xylophone and the glockenspiel that's like the main like melody kind of provides, which I think like that warmth is carried a lot because there's like a lot of vinyl crackle. There's a lot of like muffled vocals. It sounds very retro.
Yeah.
Which is an aspect I do really enjoy, and like it's exemplified a lot here. And I think like here's kind of where I noticed that like Earl Sweatshirt's not my favorite like MC.
Yeah.
I'm just don't really care for his style that much. I prefer like more kind of straightforward, more energetic, upbeat flow styles.
I'd say he wouldn't really, if he was going to be in my top 10, he wouldn't really be in like the top 3. But if realistically speaking, I could see him being in like the top 20.
Yeah, that's
maybe.
valid. I feel like I need to listen to more rappers.
Yeah, that's true. That was the hopefully there's someone in the audience screaming, Matt, you need to listen to more. But no, yeah, I do like this sample a lot. The bass makes my head thump on the floor.
Yeah.
I also love how he added in like he kind of added in like a crowd reaction when he says he was stuck in the hangar.
Yeah,
and genuinely, that made me laugh.
Like Earl's like Sweatshirt's personality is like seen a lot on this album, and it's a lot of fun. There's a track like way later on here that really exemplifies that, but based off like a hook and a lyric.
Yeah,
it's really funny.
No, yeah,
but this track is just very pleasant to listen to, and I really think it's a step up from the first two.
Oh, without a doubt. No, I would totally agree with that.
But Matt, we only have up to go from here, but not next one. Because we have nowhere to go on this one.
Well, unlike AJ's segue, Earl Sweatshirt's flow on this one is pretty fucking good.
Agreed. I do actually really like this track a lot.
This is one of the instances where I don't care for the sample too much, only because like it sounds just way too like air filtery. If that makes sense, does that make sense?
Like air filtery in what way?
Like it has like a really gritty sound. I don't know why I'm doing
Widowy.
It's
Widowy has a really witty sound.
Widowy has nowhere to go. What I mean by air filtery is it sounds super like high in the treble and also not like precise enough.
Okay.
Which I'm sure is again stylistic.
Yeah.
But I also just don't really.
It's not like what you're looking for.
Yeah. It sounds a little rough.
I'd say like the sample actually grew on me for this track. I actually kind of like really enjoyed it. I feel like it's just it's a lot more kind of like laid back and soulful, and it really kind of complements the 6/8 triplet flow that Earl Sweatshirt has going on.
No, yeah, I was again his flow is pretty fucking good on this one,
and I feel like just the sample and him kind of blend very well on this track. I also really like the lyrics here. It's about like depression, getting out of it,
nowhere to go.
Exactly.
That's really sad.
Yeah,
I don't know why I said nowhere to go.
Nowhere to go.
Am I right, AJ?
I mean, there's a 2 in the title. It's pretty fun.
When you're depressed, there's nowhere to go. That's terrible, guys. If you're depressed, please seek help.
Yeah,
just please.
There, unlike nowhere to go, there actually are a lot of places
yes,
you can.
There are,
contrary to popular belief.
I don't have a lot to say about this track, except I will start to bring around the point that I feel like I'd have, like generally, I'd probably have more of an appreciation for these tracks if they were just a little longer.
Yeah,
because I think that's one of the weaknesses of this album is that I feel like when it comes, not to just keep comparing it to other albums, even though that's literally all I do on this podcast. I feel like unlike J Dilla, where you can just appreciate the beats and despite them being the same length, when you're trying to rap over it, I feel like you want to have more substance.
Yeah, like a sense of development as well.
And I feel like 2 minutes, at least in the way that Earl Sweatshirt was doing it most of the way on this record, didn't really feel substantial to me.
Yeah, I feel like because of that, this album doesn't really work outside of an album. It feels like better as a cohesive project rather than like picking songs to listen to on their own, because like they're just over so fast.
No, yeah, exactly. And I think with like if it's just an album that you're trying to focus on like the beats, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But when you actually have like lyrical context and trying to like
put everything together,
I feel like it just goes by too fast to appreciate. It's like a comet.
Agreed. Yeah. I guess this album really has nowhere to go.
I guess it really was more than she deserves.
Oh, Meatloaf.
Oh man.
Gotta love it.
Gotta love it. Shall we move on to track number 5?
Yeah. Next up, we have December 24th. This is a much darker song compared to the past 4, just in terms of like its overall tone, and I guess it's like the story that it tells as well, which is interesting. I do like how Earl kind of takes on this more kind of like assertive personality on this track.
Yeah.
To kind of like reflect the darker tone and theme. I do really like this one as like its own thing. You can just basically feel like his attitude and just like the kind of tone he's trying to convey. But it's like not one that I would kind of go back to listen to. I just like it where it is on the album.
I would agree. I think one of the biggest things that I noticed with this one is that in terms of production, the spread of the audio is like probably the best.
Yeah,
on here,
definitely. It's the most like compact.
Yeah, I mean it's compact, but you feel it if this makes sense. You feel like it's like fully in both,
utilizing
bits and pieces.
Yeah. Got you.
Like I said before, if that makes sense.
Oh, it does.
Okay, good. I like the piano sample on this one too.
Yeah.
Even though this is about a very sad topic, the way that he phrases some of these bars is fucking insane.
Yeah.
Saying his grandmammy on the drip drank. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like the wildest way to say that she's hooked up to like an IV?
I guess.
That's
or
wild.
I don't really remember.
I think that's what he was trying to say. Like she's in the hospital and she's hooked up on the like I'm pretty sure that's what he was saying. Damn, from what I was gathering.
Oh, Earl.
He always has lines like that too, though. Like on Voir Dire, he has lines like that all the time. But it's like
he's just kind of a kooky character.
I guess it's kind of a nice juxtaposition.
Yeah, from like the overall theme, it's like a little bit of levity, which is appreciated.
I do love the way that when he has like the banger lines, the beat just stops.
Yeah,
that's a really really cool like little feature.
Yeah,
and then also This beat has like a generically lo-fi feel. Like I feel like if there wasn't any bars on top of it, I'd hear it in like a lo-fi playlist.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like
I guess that's fair. Yeah,
I can. It's probably just because of the piano being just so like
prominent,
yeah. And like I don't want to say fuzzy again, but kind of fuzzy.
Just a little fuzzy.
A little fuzzy.
That's really all I have to say about December 24th. I think it's just it's very well placed on the album. It's very well mixed, and it tells a very sad story.
Very well placed in the month too. You know, it's the
That's
day
true.
before Christmas. It's Christmas Eve.
Yeah, and that's a month after this episode comes out.
Yeah, we just have to do some quick math, family heads.
Sorry, we're podcasters. We're not smart.
We work so hard that we have to record everything the day before it comes out.
That's right, which is being recorded.
Well, yeah, AJ, it's on the tip of your tongue. You know,
it's being recorded November 4th.
Oh my god. Yeah.
That's all I gotta say.
No, I understand. That's good because we have another track on the way. So I mean,
that's right. And I'm really glad it's on the way because I really like this track a lot.
Dude, it's fucking nice.
Yeah.
Both the sample and honestly, like his flow on this one. Again,
definitely.
They pair together very, very well. Mm-hmm. This one has a feature, Standing on the Corner.
Yep.
Which I don't know if I'm going crazy, but Standing on the Corner, are they just primarily like a beat maker or did they rap?
I don't know. That's a really good question.
I was trying to figure that out. Like Navy Blue later down the line.
He's there.
I was trying. I was like, okay, yeah, I can tell with this one. But yeah, no, I had trouble kind of figuring that out.
Yeah, I didn't really pay much attention to that.
Well, if he did make the beat, the guitar and the
great
sample
job.
is really fucking good.
Yeah, it's very luscious, very funky. I love the mixing of the drums on this track too. Like the way that like the cymbals are so like muffled. It really adds like that kind of that retro, very warm kind of tone that he's going for. I also really like his flow style here because he's kind of like free riding it.
Yeah,
because he's just kind of like barely speaking over, but he always kind of manages to be on beat even like when he gets off. It's very impressive.
It is impressive.
Yeah.
This isn't the one that has like no beat whatsoever, right? There's one where it has like no beat that comes in like at all, and he is perfectly on time. And I remember
this one.
And I remember thinking like, oh my god, that's insane.
Yeah, dude.
How does he do that?
He's a talented person.
Oh my god, yeah. I like the way that it kind of reminds me, not at all in terms of like how it sounds, but just the technique of putting like a really like modern beat over top like a really vintage sample.
Yeah.
It reminds me of like kind of the way that like JPEG Mafia like reworked a lot of his samples by like having a sample that would have no business being over top a beat like it does. Mm-hmm. But like by itself, but then like he puts the beat over top and it really just works.
Yeah. Like scaring the hose.
Yeah, that's what specifically in my brain, like it reminded me, not like tone wise or energy wise, but like,
in terms of like the practice.
In terms of the practice, it reminded me of I believe it's God Loves You.
God, oh hell yeah.
The one that has like kind of like a disco beat like over top, and then like it gets fucking nuts with that bass. This is a good track though.
Agreed. I quite like this one.
And Standing on the Corner, whatever you did on this track, I appreciate it.
It's appreciated, yeah.
I really, really fucking
honestly,
appreciate it.
You don't deserve to be on the corner. Get on those streets.
Get this man a street. No, what was it? I also feel like this one could have benefited from just being a little longer.
Yeah, that goes for like a lot of tracks on this album though.
But this one especially.
Yeah, and I will say, I'll highlight across the board the transitions into each song. This album flows together very nicely. And this song has kind of like a slowdown at the end, which transitions into the next track, The Mint, very nicely.
I'm going to counter argue that I think the transitions are way too abrupt.
Really? Okay.
I think sure, the way they go one after the other is great, but I wouldn't even really call it that much of a transition because
happens.
A lot of them just feel like they're really just hitting you in the face.
Gotcha.
With the beginning of a different sample.
Okay. That's valid.
Some of them, at least. Maybe not like a lot of them.
But like, I mean, I feel like Shattered Dreams into Red Water, that's a good example. That just kind of happens.
I think that it was toward the very beginning that like I really felt like it was happening.
Yeah, but I think like from On the Way to the Mint, I do really like how that transition works because these songs are a little similar in terms of just like their overall style. So I feel like it kind of segues very nicely. But going back to the Mint, I feel like this track really reminds me of Rest Aria by The Residents, just based off the sound of that piano.
Yeah, it's like it has this like sort of weirdly like, I don't know, airy yet dark tone to it.
Yeah, like kind of classical, but like distorted in a way.
Yeah, no, for real.
Uh-huh.
I think I like Navy's flow on this better than Earl Sweatshirt's.
Very valid. Yeah.
One thing I did not like, it says in the lyrics that it's a whole lot of raps. It's some raps.
Mm-hmm.
Get the fucking title right.
It's literally in the title.
Negative 11 out of 10.
It's like, some rap songs.
I almost gave this an F tier just for getting that wrong.
I'm glad it could bounce back though, just a little bit. I guess it did have somewhere to go after all.
No, because like, hey, listen, when you don't cite your sources, I'm gonna lower your grade.
That's true.
I'm also gonna fuck your mom.
That's just besides the point.
Yeah,
though.
I mean, it's just
that's
gonna
happen.
I don't know why I just said that. That's insane.
Like, are you telling Earl Sweatshirt that?
Generally, I'm just going to.
Fucking be on the lookout, everyone. I do like Navy Blue's inclusion on this track a lot. I feel like they work pretty well in tandem. Navy Blue kind of sets up Earl very nicely, and I find it kind of funny that Earl just kind of gives up at the end of this track.
That's literally what I wrote too. He sounds half asleep by the end of the track. I kind of love it, but at the same time, it's just it like it adds to the vibe, but it's also kind of funny.
Yeah.
The honky tonk piano sample is also pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. I also like the bass line on this track a lot too. I feel like it's a very, 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 very chunky. Helps it move a little bit.
No, I got you.
With that chunk.
That we all know and love.
Yeah, that classic bass chunk.
The turn of the century bass chunk.
I think this one is solid. It's just not like a super favorite. Navy Blue is the highlight.
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt.
Yeah. But now we get on to a highlight for you, the bends.
Well, here's the deal. I said also I was wrong. It's not the bends.
It's not the bends.
It was actually track 10 that I had added to a playlist prior.
Well, now I'm a fucking liar.
Because I can't. No, you're not a liar. I gave you wrong information. I just can't fucking read. I fuck with the bars on this one.
Yeah.
I do not like the sample on this.
Yeah.
There's vocals that are happening that are just way too in your face.
Yeah, dude.
And I think I find issue with this when it starts overshadowing the bars.
Definitely.
Because the vocals at one point are mixed so loud where I literally could not hear his bars unless I was going along with the lyrics on Spotify.
I gotcha.
And that's kind of an ADHD nightmare, in my opinion.
I can see that. I mean, the vocal sample is very jarring, and just how often it like kind of comes in.
And it's not even like a bad sample. It's just mixed super like prominently.
Yeah.
Which I felt like in other instances, even the one that I described as air filtery. I hope that every single time I said air filtery, as if it was like a thing that everybody would understand, you were putting some sort of wind sounds in post.
Well, that already happened, and it's back again. Wow. Man, this bunker sure is crazy.
No, this bunker has way too many windows. I think it defeats AJ, I think this is just a basement.
No, what are you talking about? If you look out the windows, you see all the dirt that surrounds it.
Yeah, the wind's blowing in the dirt everywhere. I will say too, like with this sample, I felt like I enjoyed it somehow even less when Sweatshirt stopped rapping.
Yeah.
Like it's not a bad sample. It felt like kind of a clusterfuck. I don't know. It was weird. I felt like the fatigue of me trying to listen to his bars like underneath this instrumental
kind of took away from like the enjoyment that you would have gotten.
Yeah, and then I just was kind of left bitter because it just as he stopped and the sample kept going on, it felt like it won, you know?
I mean, yeah, it is a very jarring kind of sample. And I think his flow on here just isn't really the best either. He kind of goes back to like the slow, lackadaisical, just kind of talking over it.
The lumbering,
if you will. Lumber Sweatshirt. Yeah, this one's just not really a favorite for me. I think like the sample is as you said, cool in concept, but like it is mixed very poorly.
Yeah, that's pretty much my only real complaint. Because I feel like I also would have absorbed the bars better. Because even as I was reading it, like in the few times that I listened to this, I still kind of felt like I wasn't getting a grasp of like what it was about.
Because like you can't get the full experience.
I couldn't like concentrate enough.
I gotcha.
So,
well, the bends. You were really Loosie with that mixing.
Is this when we celebrate Lucy Day?
That's right. Every August 10th.
Yeah, right after December 24th.
Yep. So the next track is Loosie. This one is okay.
Yeah, the instrumental, again, it's sour,
Yeah.
but I felt like it kind of works.
Yeah, it has some like trippy kind of warbly synths, which is cool. I like how it kind of plays with channels on this track too, where they're mostly in like the left, and then the guitar kind of comes in
In the right.
and it's like
Yeah.
very like low in the mix too, which is really cool. I like how Earl is kind of right on beat on this track, and he emphasizes like the downbeat of like each stanza, which is very
Yeah.
nice. I see like more of the appeal of his style like in general on this track, which is cool. He's just doing his thing, and it's fun to witness.
Yeah, I mean, I think like for the most part, everything minus his bars, like themselves, like the lyrics, I
Yeah.
kind of felt like they were whatever.
Uh-huh.
But I felt like he did a good enough job. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't like so lackluster to the point where I felt like I needed to bring it up. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But hey, they proved me wrong quick, AJ.
That's true.
I don't know why that line stuck out to me. And I was just like, oh, well, shit.
I'm gonna use that.
I did it again.
But yeah, I don't really have too much else to say about Lucy. I think it's just kind of a fine for where it is.
Yeah. To be honest with you, these next few tracks, I kind of don't have a lot to say about them.
Yeah,
But then, like, I'd say, like, the last.
it picks back up again.
Yeah,
Definitely.
It really does. At
Oh
one
yeah,
point,
dude. But next up we have Azucar.
Which is Spanish for sugar.
That's true. I do really like the sample of this one with the glockenspiel and like the orchestra kind of cutting in and out, and then playing with the pitch is really cool as well.
I very much see, like, I know I keep bringing up Voir dire, like
Mhm.
his later album, but I really see, like, that album's entire vibe
In this one track.
initially, like, being like, oh, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it felt like listening to this track. I felt like it
Gotcha.
was, like, honestly, like, the premature building blocks of,
that album.
yeah.
Very cool.
Like, I could definitely see, like, how he would then go in that
Yeah.
direction later on.
I gotcha.
Like, way later on.
I think it's a pretty impressive one. It's not like a favorite, but I think it's a highlight. It's fun.
His flow is also pretty good. Again,
Yeah.
his bars are just kind of meh.
Yeah, kind of going back to like the depression stuff, but I think that's just way better done on Nowhere to Go.
Yeah. No, I would totally agree.
Yeah. I feel like to sum it up, this song sounds like a mix of a soul ballad and a dentist commercial. That was what I wrote down of what the song means to me.
I think I have a weirder, honestly, with the next track, I think I have a weirder, like, what this sounds like kind of comparison.
Well, if we got nothing else, let's hop right into it.
The sample's all right. I can't say, like, the track itself, again, bars and all, his flow was not really, like, it didn't stand out as too good or too bad to me.
Yeah, it was just fine.
The sample sounds like a pinball machine.
On Eclipse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On Eclipse.
I do enjoy the sample of this one. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but I remember liking it.
It had, like, a lot of, like, kind of dinging in, like, a weird way.
Yeah. Pinball, okay, yeah. Pinball Machine is a very fair comparison then.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do like the keys on this one here. They do sound very retro, which I guess applies to the dinging and such.
I started laughing because you were like, "Oh, it dings. Yeah, that checks out. It's a pinball machine."
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Valid.
It's like, yeah, nothing else
Nope,
ever dings.
nothing else can ding. I like the tempo of this one though. It's very refreshing from the kind of like lumbering pace that is all found throughout this album. And it has its own kind of rhythm to it, which kind of keeps you on your toes too. And there's a verse that I like, which is "Say goodbye to my openness, total eclipse." That's pretty raw. That whole stanza that I didn't write down.
No, yeah. I wish I had more to say about it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that goes for, I guess, the next track, but then that's when it kind of picks up for me after that one.
Oh, I have another comparison for this next track.
Whoa! This next track is called Veins, and Matt's comparison is...
First of all, the sample's fucking weird.
Yeah.
You know how it has like the oh thing? It sounds like Gwimbly from Smiling Friends. Like the fucking like it sounds that way.
Like how it sounds like so bit crushed.
Yeah, and also just like the inflection of him, because it's some vocal doing like like it goes like up, but like that. It's not saying exactly what Gwimbly is saying.
Yeah, but it has that like kind of ascension.
Yeah,
I gotcha.
It's weird. That's all I could think about. Again, the bars and the flow, they've kind of meant nothing to me.
I feel like this one here, you got to get more of a sense of his personality, because this is the song where they talk about eating paste. And it keeps coming back to eating paste.
All my homies eat paste.
That's
you know?
true. Guys, poll of the week.
Yeah,
do you
question of
eat
the week.
paste?
Do you eat paste? That's incredible.
Just curious. If you haven't, give it a try. That is a joke. Please don't.
Yeah, please don't. That's actually so funny. My coworker admitted to all of us today that he ate glue as a child.
I mean, we're all stupid as kids. I don't blame him.
And then one of my other coworkers went, "That makes a lot of sense." I felt so bad.
Some people sniff paste.
That's
in
true.
their adult life.
That's very, very true.
That's one of the other five senses, you know?
I don't
Earl
have a lot
sounds very out there on this track.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think it's also really interesting how the drum beat kind of like lags behind Earl on this track here. It's like almost like he's ahead of the beat. I mean, it still like works pretty well, but that was just an interesting observation that I found. But yeah, this one was fine. Just not really anything spectacular.
Yeah. This last run of 3 tracks on this record is very fascinating.
Definitely, and it's exemplified beautifully by playing Possum. This one is a really sad track, and it's very beautifully mixed, and it's a really kind of cool tribute to his parents, especially his dad, who passed away before this album came out.
I think this album generally does a good job of having a vintage vibe with its samples.
Oh, absolutely.
But the way that he goes above and beyond with this track by including like the record crackle in the sample.
It sounds like a memory.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
It really does.
Because these are recordings of his parents, his mom giving a speech, and then his dad, I think, reciting a poem.
Mm-hmm.
And then he kind of intersplices them to like create this whole narrative. It's very well done. I really like this track a lot.
It is. And I think it's interesting, like, because it's kind of weirdly placed in a way, only because it's not even like the penultimate track. It's like the second to the penultimate track. But I guess it's cool to kind of, I feel like it does do a good job of indicating that we're like near the end.
Yeah, definitely. This is a very special track, and it kind of has like its own unique place. And it's very much kind of, it's a breath of fresh air at this point, which I like a lot.
Yeah, no, I think it was really expertly done.
Yeah.
Playing to the pathos of the audience.
Mm-hmm. And shows off his sampling skills very well.
Yeah, no, the sample is really good.
And then penultimate track, we have Peanut.
Which I feel like discards everything we said.
Yep.
Like right away. This one, have you ever listened to DJ Roswell?
I've not.
You should. He's very fascinating.
Gotcha. Okay.
The lyrics are fucking filthy.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ.
And the whole like instrumental is very disjointed, almost broken. Like it reminded me of like The Caretaker, the person who did Everywhere at the End of Time.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I haven't listened to all that album, but that album is...
Oh, it's a lot.
It is.
Yeah, dude.
Fucking... I can't even describe like what it was. It made me feel like sick.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was just, oh my God. I need to read one of the lyrics. The lyric that really fucking... there it is. Lick the nut sack.
It's the Nut Shack.
Fluted in some tearaways.
Oh, damn.
I just heard
lick the nut sack.
I heard lick the nut sack, and I was like, oh,
that's the peanut they're referring to.
Yeah,
yeah. I like the concept of the song where it's basically him kind of telling off the people that told him he can't make it.
Yeah.
And the way that like he kind of goes about it is really interesting with this whole just very dark, disjointed sample that sounds very haunting.
Yeah.
And it's like, very spiteful. And then Earl kind of like gives up again on this one with his flow becoming very like lethargic and like almost slurred, which is interesting. Cool sentiment. I don't like listening to it though.
Yeah. I feel like by itself, it's not a great track to...
Yeah, just throw on.
Yeah. Hey, you want to listen to some... You
want to lick the nutsack?
Your mother and I used to lick the nutsack back in the day.
Soon you will too, my boy.
Like father, like son.
Like nut, like son.
So stupid. I love it. Oh, God. I was going to make a Cuphead reference and be like, this is a real high-class sack. You're up.
That's pretty good.
Is it? I don't think so.
Matt, honestly, I'd say that was a Riot.
So this is actually the first track I had ever heard on this album.
Yeah,
and it was
that
separate.
checks out.
It was separate because I think this one being the most palatable by itself, it probably rose up.
Yeah.
And spread out algorithmically on Spotify more than the other ones. But it's so interesting in the context of the album because for most of this, the album sounds pretty rough.
Yeah.
But then you get to this track, which is just like a sample no vocals, and
Yeah.
it's a really overly happy,
Oh yeah, there's like trumpets that come in.
juxtaposed, like exalted sort of,
Yeah, like hopeful, triumphant.
And I think I think that was honestly a pretty decent way of ending
Agreed.
it, considering a
Yeah.
lot of this album is talking about like dealing with depression, and, like,
death, family
like,
issues.
it's very interesting,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it gave me more respect for this track. But I feel like when it comes onto my playlist, because it was in my playlist before, I'm not going to look at it the same way again, if that makes sense.
I gotcha. I think this is definitely a really nice way to close out the album, and I definitely see why it's one of his most like streamed songs. It's just a very pleasant instrumental to listen to all the way through.
But given the context, it's like, wow.
Yeah,
We really just went on a journey
we really did.
that was only less than a half hour.
Mm-hmm.
But boy, did it feel a little longer.
It really does. Like, I guess that could be a praise of this album, is just how, like, even though it is so short, it does feel long in points. I guess if that's what he's wanting you to feel, with just how like dour and dark some of these samples and lyrics are.
Yeah.
But I do really like Riot as a closer and as like a song on its own. It's very well done.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that'll bring us to our final thoughts. So, Matt, what did you think of Some Rap Songs by Earl Sweatshirt?
Listen, I do enjoy the abstract hip hop like type beats a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I really like Nujabes, which is another artist that kind of that's sort of like in that area.
Yeah.
Kind of in the same area as Jay Dilla. I love when artists utilize samples in a way that like either stands alone well or underscores the bars that they're rapping or singing over.
Mm-hmm.
What I don't really like though is when beats steal the show entirely when there's supposed to be other things that we're focusing on.
Yeah.
Rather than a good portion of the samples working for Earl, it felt like he was working for them.
Definitely. Yeah.
And that is probably one of, if not my biggest complaint of this record overall. I think there were quite a few tracks on here that like it felt like he was sort of trying to catch up, or he was lumbering behind, or even just like
playing support.
Yeah, rather than like taking control, which I feel like in a lot of other rap songs generically.
It was Earl Sweatshirt by Some Rap Songs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know. That one just didn't catch on though. They wanted to make sure.
Exactly, they knew who it really was.
Imagine being an artist named Some Rap Songs. What the fuck is that? I think this album definitely has high points though, but I don't think it was like my favorite listening experience overall. I have respect for this project because it's very cohesive in that of itself.
Yeah.
But I don't think that like I'll be returning to it, at least not very often.
Yeah.
I can't say that it was like a bad experience though. Just kind of weird because I found that a lot of the samples with vocals were just way too distracting and taking up just way too much space rather than like ushering the lyrics and stuff. I also think like generally he's not my favorite lyricist of all time. Like I think it's fun to have like to play around with like wordplay and stuff with a lot of your bars, but I found that a lot of his lyrics were a little nebulous to me. Overall, I think it has a few pretty good ideas, but it just feels a little intellectually sloppy in its execution.
Gotcha.
Personal opinion.
Yeah.
So I'm stuck somewhere between high C and low B.
That's a really fair point.
I'm like stuck somewhere between there.
Yeah.
I don't even think I have a number rating as of right now. That might be a later, like maybe the ranking.
Season 3 ranking episode.
Maybe I'll have to wait for then. I also feel like I might have to sit with this album just like a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because although I did listen to it a few times, I feel like genuinely I need to just kind of maybe there's like an appreciation I'm just like not fully getting. But I think I definitely, if we're talking just generally, I definitely enjoyed it than the last solo You and Me episode album that you gave me.
Come on at my house.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's very interesting, and I highly disagree. Oh, you mean Pray for the Wicked?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, AJ gave me Pray for the Wicked, and I give AJ Come On to My House.
Yeah.
So to show him some fucking class. No, I'm kidding. It was totally the opposite.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I very much disagree, but to each their own.
Just because of the beats, though. Because I kind of just been gravitating more towards
hip hop, yeah.
Than
glam rock.
Than glam rock.
Yeah.
And maybe just more towards than Sparks, if you want to be quite honest with you.
Fair enough.
It's not like American Football. Like I still think the album is pretty decent. Yeah. Like I think Equator is the best song on
of
that
all
album.
Time.
Equator. Did you miss that, Family Heads?
I liked
from the
it.
last episode.
I like that one.
Not the last episode. What are we doing?
A month ago.
Yeah, somewhere between high C and low B. I'll give you a number soon.
In the season 3 ranking.
In the season 3 finale.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think generally I enjoyed it. Just it could have been tightened up in a few areas.
I gotcha. And I definitely agree. Earl Sweatshirt is not my favorite rapper. I feel like his style and like what I like in rap music, it just don't really mesh very well. He very much kind of like does his own thing. And while I like that for certain rappers like MF Doom, I feel like his just kind of presentation with that isn't what I gravitate towards in rap music. It's very kind of lackadaisical, almost talking at some points. He does have potential to like kind of up the ante and like play around with his flow style, be more assertive, be more like play with triplets and like his different kind of like rhythmic things. But it's just not really enough on this album to where I'm like really engaged.
No, I get it. And I think we are kind of feeling the same way. Because when I said that like his lyrics are a little nebulous,
Yeah.
I meant like lacking in direction.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Lacking in like something that you can really pinpoint in terms
or
of like,
gravitate towards.
Yeah. I think we are kind of in the same.
I think we very much have very similar opinions about this album.
Like the wordplay itself wasn't like anything special, but it
Yeah.
very much felt like he was just kind of
doing it without a purpose.
Yeah.
Okay,
Like there wasn't like something guiding what like the stuff he was saying.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I think we were definitely like trying to say the
see.
same thing, but at different angles.
And look, we did that.
We did. We met in the middle. It's
through
like
different angles.
It's like Lady and the Tramp on a podcast. AJ and I are going to kiss at the end of this
Again.
episode. Yeah, it's true. Again.
Yes. Season 3.
Man, I'm so excited for the AJ plus Matt merch.
Yeah. Question of the week. What's our ship name?
Yeah, what's our shit? Oh God.
Anyway.
What if that's the only question they actually
Yeah, we actually like
answered?
full on answers. That'd
It's
be
like,
crazy.
oh wow, 900 responses. That's
Wow.
insane.
We gained 1,000 followers from this episode.
Anyway, AJ, continue.
I think the samples, much like Earl's flow, are very hit or miss. I feel like some are really well done and complement his flow style and his overall presentation very well, like on the Way, Nowhere to Go, and especially Cold Summers. Like those samples are really well done. But like the bends, for instance, is just like very obnoxious. It does not mesh well at all with Earl, and like you said, it takes away from the song than adding onto it. I think concept-wise, I like it, but it doesn't really grab me. Like, and just because of like his lyrics themselves, I like what he's trying to say. I'm just not really a fan of how he's saying it, I guess.
No, I definitely see that for sure.
And as I said, this album works exclusively, in my opinion, as an album.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not picking out songs to listen to like on their own. I guess besides like
Riot,
like Cold Summers maybe, but I feel like we're not like getting the full experience without the other tracks on here.
Yeah.
So this album it's very kind of confusing for me. I feel like high C, low B is a very appropriate rating.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put it solid B for now because I did gain more of an appreciation the more I listened to it. Not to the extent of like American Football or like Remain in Light per se. Yeah. But just like I see the appeal. It's just really not for me. It is an objectively solid album that I'm really probably not going to go back to that often. Yeah. And highlights are Cold Summers, Nowhere to Go, On the Way, Playing Possum, and Riot.
I'd say for me, if I had to pick like maybe 3 songs that like I enjoy, Riot definitely. Because that one's appeared in my playlist a lot, and I don't really skip it. Yeah. Playing Possum, without a doubt. I'd say like I think Shattered Dreams is decent. Like I don't know if it works the best by itself, but like
it sets the tone very well.
It does.
The whole thing,
but I think for me that was definitely like a high point. And I think Red Water, again, same as the one before. It was kind of a high point because I like the samples and I think they work well together, but not really by themselves. The only one that really works by itself, in my opinion, is definitely just Riot for me.
Yeah, I gotcha. And I'll also say I listened to this album a lot, and it was still hard for me to remember like what each track was. Yeah, because like it's just an album to me. Like I can't really differentiate the songs, like some songs, which is kind of a shame.
No, I get it.
Yeah, but. As you know, Family Heads, we always talk about 2 albums on the regular episode format. So, Matt, shall we dive into Masterpiece by Big Thief?
Yes, we shall. I'll give you a little history. So Masterpiece by Big Thief was released on May 27th of 2016 through Saddle Creek Records and is their debut studio album. Members of the band include Jason Berger on drums, Max Olerchik on bass, Buck Meek.
Fellas. Who's out here meeking their buck?
On lead guitar and backup vocals. He's pretty good, especially on their later albums.
Gotcha.
And Adrian Lenker on guitar and vocals, and primarily on like all lyrics.
Yeah, this is her.
This is her.
Yeah.
This indie lo-fi rock project shot the band into a trajectory of songs in their later career, talking about heartbreak, life, and letting go for years to come, provoking the band to release a 2023 remaster of this record. And for a little bit of background, there's an album that I actually really, I would say actually enjoy more than this album. It's called Dragon New Warm Mountain, I Believe in You. It came out in 2023, same year as this remaster.
Was it 3 or was it 2?
It was 2.
Yeah.
It was 2.
Uh-huh.
No, you're right. It was 2022 because it
Yeah.
was in the fall of 2022, but I listened to it all throughout 2023. And I love that album. I think it's a really, really good one. Part of the reason why I chose this one to begin with was because I was like, oh, it's a remaster of their first album. Because I think I had tried listening to their first album at one point.
Yeah.
And I just kind of felt like, it's okay. But then like, once it got remastered, I think I was like, oh, okay, this actually feels a lot more lively.
Gotcha.
And then it really led me to kind of dive into the lyrics a bit more. Really, I wouldn't say like connect, but like really appreciate the level of storytelling.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I think generally when it comes to Big Thief, Adrian Lenker's vocals and her lyrics.
Yeah, that's like the selling point.
And then they really get good. They're all students of Berkeley. I don't know if I
Gotcha.
ever told you. They're all Berkeley students. And I think they have some really, really cool like melodic motifs instrumentally.
Definitely.
And then later down the line, they start getting even crazier with their production and their instrumentals, which is why I love their
Dragon
latest
New Warm.
album.
Yeah.
Dragon New Warm. I guess we could just call it Dragon.
Yeah, I have listened to Dragon before, but it was only once. And I do remember liking it. Spoiler, I like it better than this album.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I think because the reason why I wanted to give, I personally really like this album as well. I also like Dragon generally more than this one. Honestly, I kind of just brought on this album because I feel like this album kind of deserves some love too.
Yeah.
I think it deserves the remaster. And I think it's very much well worth the listen. Not to spoil my thoughts. I kind of just wanted to bring attention to the fact that this album definitely got like pushed them in the right direction to kind of get to where they are now. And I have developed a real appreciation for this album, despite it not exactly being my favorite.
Well, Matt, it's very pertinent that you bring up that it needs a lot of love, because I'm going to expect you to bring that, because Broad Thoughts, the more I listen to this album, the less I liked it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And I understand why. The thing is, too, with it, it's not a happy album.
Dude, yeah, this album is
like,
heavy.
at all. Like
Yeah.
later on, they kind of start talking more generally, and it's a bit more like palatable in its themes.
This is uncomfortable in points.
There's some points.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so.
It's raw. It's like hard to listen to at points, which is very well done, and I respect it a lot, but it's like, I don't want to listen to this.
I think I gravitate towards sad girl rock a lot.
Yeah.
And this one is like really, it's almost like the ultimate. Because I've listened to, surprisingly, I've listened to more raw sad girl rock albums than this. But this is pretty up there.
Yeah.
And I think I like how uncomfortable it is in terms of its themes, because I do like the instrumentals a lot too. And I think it very much helps.
Yeah, kind of make it more palatable.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
But I understand like for like the average listener too, like why it might not be like the favorite.
Yeah.
But I also feel like it kind of just deserves some praise in some aspects, because I have some stuff to say about it that I really like.
Well, Matt, then let's get right into praising with this first track, Little Arrow.
You know, funny enough, this is actually one of my least favorites.
Yeah, I can imagine why.
It's just not that long and doesn't have a
No.
lot of substance, but I think it's interesting how it starts off the album. For those who really don't know, this is a little intro where Adrian Lenker is just playing her guitar, just kind of having this hopeful, like, sort of stanza, like poem style of like lyrics.
With this very kind of like retro filter over top of it, sounding almost like a home movie or like a recording.
And it's interesting they started it off that way because like although the lo-fi aspect of like their music is like a huge part of their music generally, I think it's cool to see it like have peaks and valleys of just how retro and how like
because the style comes back in points, not in like actual songs, but more like snippets after songs are over.
Yeah. It's interesting. It shows. I feel like it helped. This track and the next track show like the peaks and valleys of like its production.
Yeah,
kind of making me really reminiscent of like Guided by Voices.
Gotcha.
Which is another band that I really fucking like as of late.
So does Evan.
Does he really?
He does like Guided by Voices.
They're okay. They're fine. You know, like
they're no Boards of Canada.
You're right. They really aren't. No. Oh, that's cool. I'll have to talk to him about it. We'll
there you go.
How about on their guest episode, I spend the entire time talking about that band.
Even though it's not the album that Evan picked. Yeah.
Yeah, no. I think
valid.
We could do it better. I mean,
I like that.
From what Evan told me of his ideas, I think it would make for a way better conversation. But we'll get to there.
Oh, we'll get to that one.
See you in May. Woo! See you in May, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's delightfully misleading, but it's also just meh.
Yeah, it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's kind of whatever.
I think it's very funny how hopeful the lyrics are considering the rest of this album.
Dude.
Until like, oh God, shit. I think it's until track 6. It's just bam, 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 sad. But I love it. The next song is a personal favorite of mine. I love just its upbeat tempo despite such a really like soul-crushing topic.
Yeah.
It's called Masterpiece. And I remember when I first heard this, I was like, wow, this is a really cool song. And then I
read the lyrics.
I listened closely to the lyrics. I was like, oh, wow, that's crazy. But I think it kind of works. Basically, the gist of the lyrics and this whole album is that the singer, Adrian Lenker, is kind of trying to process grief, loss, and like abuse at a very young age.
Yeah.
And this album kind of highlights and paints a picture of how they processed and sort of grew in spite of that.
Yeah.
And the sort of internal struggle of like
overcoming
and also not playing into the cycle that her parents started.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And I think it does a really good job of that like throughout, because I feel like even though this album can be kind of uncomfortable lyrically, it definitely does a good job of
kind of like breaking it up musically.
And I think also lyrically she does a good job of kind of making it like read nice, but when you think about it, you're like, oh
yeah, definitely.
And I kind of like that. It's like a nice slow burn Disturbia, you know?
Exactly. Love that.
But AJ says through gritted teeth, love that.
My favorite.
Wow. Thanks, man. No, I think having such a loud instrumental kind of crashing in your ears while it's talking about something so sad, it really shows like this dissonance that someone probably feels in their day-to-day life, like trying to just go through their life despite like the weight of this grief. And
that's all on top of you, yeah.
Yeah. Especially when you kind of take in consideration the lyrics of her being like actively struggling to feel her age. So I think I really, really like this track. I love the fucking guitar solo on this. It fucking rips. Buck Meek.
If you will. My favorite Harry Potter character.
It was a meek buck. Sounds like a Mad-Eye Moody line.
It was a meek buck.
I would only know that because I had a friend that watched Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire 16 times in the span of a week once.
I heard about that
story. I loved it every single time.
It got better.
Because I would come home from class at the exact same part in the movie. And I thought that I was living a day. I thought it was Groundhog Day. Like it would just keep going.
It was Goblet Day.
Yeah, it was. It reeks of goblin piss.
Goblet Hog.
But yeah, I do like this track a lot. I think sound-wise, it just sounds really, really good. But also, I like the way that it really juxtaposes the lyrics because the lyrics are just like soul-crushing.
Yeah, I'll say I didn't really get like a handle on the lyrics on this track specifically. I was more so focused on just like the overall presentation of the song, which is a very straight ahead like roots rock kind of melody and like feel to it. It's like very heavy with this these like twangy guitars. I'll say like the country influence that's all across this album is really cool. Though I prefer when they lean more into folk on Dragon. That's like kind of just what I prefer in general.
No, I get it.
Yeah. But it's just it sounds almost like a bar band at some points, and just like the way that it's presented. But like you said, the guitars are really nice. They're very crunchy. And whenever they solo, it just like gets really all distorted and kind of emphasizing like the emotions that are being portrayed. That's always a nice touch, which I like a lot. I thought this one was solid, but it's just not the one that stands out to me like particularly.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
Shall I move on to the next track?
Yeah, because I like this one.
I really like this one too. The guitar riff is great. It's called Vegas. And I love the way that this is framed. It reminds me, well, instrumentally, it reminds me of the Arctic Monkeys. There's a song called The Bakery. I always bring up this song, I feel like, on the podcast. And I'm like, AJ, it reminds me of The Bakery. And guess who doesn't listen to it? No, I'm just kidding. I don't give a fuck if you listen to it.
That's true. I mean, when you brought that up on the Dead Ringer episode, I was very surprised.
So yeah, bringing it up on the Boards of Canada episode did, I feel like, lay the point home.
Definitely.
No, I'm kidding. No, I like this one. It very much has like a soothing vibe, and I think it definitely works given what it's like singing about.
It's a nice come down too for a masterpiece. Instead of like the kind of hard rockin', straight ahead country roots rock, it kind of has a more cleaner tone, playing around more with like rhythm, which I like a lot, especially on a couple tracks later.
Oh yeah,
I really like how they play with rhythm. The bass is solid enough on this track. It's holding everything down, even though it's not doing anything super exciting. I really like the chorus on this track specifically. I think it's a lot of fun. And I love how the drums utilize the ride cymbal.
Yeah.
It's very nice here. And Adrienne Lenker is a very engaging vocalist.
Yeah.
And like the way that she kind of tells a story and the way she frames all of her lyrics are very beautifully done. And she's a very captivating presence. So, yeah, it's very fluttery vocals in the chorus and very assertive tone in the choruses. I like that change up.
All of her lyrics are very anecdotal, which I really, really like, especially on Dragon.
Yeah.
But I felt that here it was so cool to kind of like see, because Dragon for the most part is a pretty happy-ish, well, sort of.
In terms of like tone, at least.
Peaks and valleys, you know what I mean? Like in terms, like thematically, in terms of like whether it's happy or more sad.
But like tone-wise and like how it sounds.
Yeah. But I think it's cool. It was kind of cool to see her talk about such rough topics, because I feel like she did a pretty good job for the most part, both like presenting it but also like writing it.
Yeah.
I also like this song thematically because it's like it almost feels like a direct follow up in spite of the themes of the last track, because it's about like a couple's intimate time in Vegas.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And I think like a lot of it, like talking about the struggle of like, you know, again, trying not to be like her parents.
Yeah.
Having like an actual loving relationship is really nice, especially when you get to a horrific set of lyrics later down the line. Because there's one song that I really like the sound of, but oh my god, like,
yeah, dude, I think I know what you're talking about.
You want to talk about soul crushing? Ooh. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But I hope I'm doing a good job of sort of articulating why I like each track, because I think they are important.
And you're doing a great job, Matt.
I hope so. I really have grown to appreciate this album, and I think that growing appreciation is why I picked it.
I think you have a lot of real love for this album.
No, this is track number 4.
That's it. What can I say? I'm the king.
Real love. Yeah, no, this actually this is the exact track I'm talking about. About it being soul crushing. It's a really cool. This one they lean more into like the sort of bar band rock.
Definitely,
element,
yeah.
But it's
very lumbering in its delivery.
No, you keep going. You keep going.
Okay. I'll ring the Matt interrupted AJ alarm real quick.
Another thing that goes ding.
Exactly. But I think I like how it kind of builds up to the choruses, but it still sounds very similar to what it's laying down in the verses. As it's like, it starts out with like just like the acoustic guitars before exploding into the choruses with like the full band. And then you have that really crunchy guitar solo that just fucking wails towards the very end, which is really cool. Like the darker feel of the song is very nice. And then you have the build up like the ooh papas, ooh mamas until everything just explodes at the end.
Yeah.
I think it's a very well done song that I don't really like listening to, but it's like beautifully constructed.
Especially given the theme.
Oh, yeah.
Because I imagine you probably know what the theme...
I think so.
What like the lyrics are trying to say, but for those who don't, I'm here.
I'm Thief and I'm big.
Yeah, it's true. They call me Big Thief. So this song is about this vicious cycle of Adrienne's... I believe her mom and her partner. Her partner is like very much like of physically abusing her mother, and it's this vicious cycle. And I think the song is supposed to be about how the singer was like exposed to this at such a young age. This was like their idea of love.
Yeah.
And a vicious cycle. That's why it's called Red Love, because
or Real Love.
Oh, it's called, my bad. It's called Real Love?
Red Lovers.
Oh man,
I think
that's
it's
terrible.
Real Love.
I thought it was Red Love. Oh, it is Real Life. Love. This is real life. God, my bad. Yeah, that's why it's
All
called
good.
Red Love. This is the fucking Back in London.
Oh my god, it is the Back in London of season
of
3.
Season 3. Oh my god, yeah. You know my favorite Big Thief song, Red Love. Oh my god. Anyway, yeah, no, I think that's why it's called Real Love, because this was, as a kid, Adrian's idea of like
her
what
concept,
what real love, I guess,
looks like.
Yeah. And it's just this chaotic cycle, which I think when you said that it has that really raging guitar solo and in the chorus it explodes, I think that's supposed to be symbolic of like the vicious
feelings,
cycle.
yeah.
And I think it's twisted but like well arranged in that aspect. It's hard to listen to, but at the same time, like
it's powerful.
It really is. It really paints a fucking picture.
Oh yeah, man. It's like it really kind of lays like cards on the table, just like showing this very traumatic experience, both expressed through both lyrics and music, and then they both combine beautifully.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm ready to move on.
Me too, because Interstate might be my favorite track on the album.
Oh, it's so good.
I really like this one a lot.
So good. The chorus, the way this is the one where you're saying you like how it plays with the tempo, right?
Yeah, the tempo. I love how like much emphasis is placed on like the upbeats throughout like the whole instrumental, and like the choruses are just like really nice too. Like she has like this kind of like nice kind of wispy delivery that sounds really fun. There's a nice slowdown before the second verse. It's just a really well done song, and the song concept is brutal. I looked this one up. It's about broken relationships with family.
Yeah, and like your family members kind of not. It was their dad, not really understanding the person you're becoming as you grow up. Because I think this was supposed to be talking about their teenage years.
I think so.
And I feel like thematically the lyrics and the song concepts start to kind of lighten a little bit after this.
Yeah,
I think Real Love was the worst of it. From what I remember.
There's another, I think there's one that like really fucking got me if I wrote it down, but I have to look when we get there.
Gotcha. It might be, oh, you know what? I think you're actually right. I do think Real Love is the worst of it though.
Gotcha.
If you want me to be honest with you. In my opinion.
Valid. Yeah.
In my opinion. IMHO. No, Interstate is really good though. I do love the tempo change up. I love the idea of family dynamics being painted here because I feel like it's somehow like it's common. I feel like for a lot of people as they get older, but I feel like it's especially niche when like I know people talk about in a familial dynamic. When you're like the oldest daughter of a family, it's like a lot different than like your other siblings.
Because you can just process a lot more.
From what I've like been told by people who are like the older sibling, specifically the oldest daughter. Like it's interesting. And I think
she kind of like shows that perspective like very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I think I would just like to point out at this point in this review, the album cover is a picture of this older woman with this younger kid playing with a bird and a toy dinosaur. The older woman is actually Adrian Lanker's grandma, and that little kid is her mom.
Damn.
Which I think adds to the pain of this album.
Yeah.
To just kind of remind you, like, even in this vicious cycle, they were once young people.
Yeah, and it's also like this happened. This was real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is. God damn.
I think the finger point kind of detracted from that statement.
That happened. That was real. You couldn't see that, family heads, but that was. It felt like that one meme where it's like the
jack.
two. Yeah, literally.
I pointed backwards when I said that's real, and then Matt got a chuckle.
I don't know why that really fucking got me. I don't have much more to say about this track except I like a truck.
Yeah, I like a car,
Yeah, no.
and I like a truck.
It's why me and AJ are on a podcast. We like different things.
That's true. Perspective.
Yeah, I like trucks and he
I
likes
like
cars.
I was a car boy. He was a truck man. What can I say?
We met on the interstate.
The rest is history. AAA had a field day.
Triple AJ. But
Yep.
anyway, it sounds like a wrestler.
Triple AJ. Triple AJ Styles. That's their ship name. Triple H and AJ Styles.
I thought we wanted to know our ship name.
Oh.
Are you being shipped with other people, AJ?
Who's to say?
How fucking dare you?
Poll of the
I'm
week.
quitting the podcast.
I mean, there's a lot of options on this podcast.
I thought
There's
you.
Tom.
Oh yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Anyway, let's go to an actual ship that happened in this album with Lorraine.
I like this song a lot.
Yeah, it's very, very pleasant.
This one, it also I think divides the album pretty well. When
Yeah.
you're hearing all this like really horrible stuff. Lorraine is about this relationship that Adrian has with this other girl, and it has like this really peaceful guitar. Plus, it kind of throws back into like the more like poetic stanza style in
Yeah.
the lyrics,
Definitely.
which I really really like. 'Cause it's a nice throwback considering the last one that did it was like another sort of lo-fi piano lo-fi like just Adrian and guitar
Yeah.
singing song with a repeating refrain.
Yeah.
I like the us against the world kind of love that it paints because it's supposed to paint this relationship that everybody in town does not approve of, but
Exactly. They do it
make
anyway.
they make the time.
Yeah,
you
because
know?
it makes them like feel good.
I love the way that they describe the person's hands as soft yet burning. I feel like that really just paints such a nice picture.
Yeah. I think this one is like very nice. It is a very nice change of pace, kind of like bringing things up a little bit. It's something like happy. I like it's almost like Simon and Garfunkel-y
Yeah.
on here. There's another track later that also reminds me of that style. But
I wrote that at some
Yeah.
point. Yeah, later on.
but just like folksy girl on her guitar, just singing about love and a relationship that made her feel good.
Yeah.
It's short and sweet, and I like the feeling that it evokes.
It also sets up a really nice theme later on, I believe.
And it does also have a nice juxtaposition between like the direct next track in terms of like relationships and like how they're perceived, which is very well done.
This is also one of the instances where the singer is like breaking the cycle
Yeah,
because I think she's getting a better concept of what love
actually
as she's
is.
grown.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's not just red.
No, it's
There's
not.
all colors.
Yes, true.
Like green.
We're not dedicating another episode of Green Lovers.
You know what? You're right.
We're not fucking doing that.
No.
But do you want to get on to the next track?
Yeah, this one makes me sad.
This one is my favorite.
I can see why.
The next track number 7, is called Paul, and I really like this track a lot. I think it's actually
Yeah.
my favorite. Masterpiece definitely was originally my favorite, and then I've driven home from a lot of late nights listening to this song, and I don't know.
It has a vibe to it.
It has like this haunting melody that I really, really enjoy. Another really good guitar solo
Yeah.
that is very reminiscent of flowers in the springtime. I
Don't Want It?
I Don't Want It by
Yeah.
Ween. It reminds me of that.
Gotcha.
Like a lot.
Yeah.
Definitely that one is a lot more like palatable in theme.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say that like its level of sad,
Is it like matches that?
it very much does.
Yeah, because this is a very sad song in a different way from like the past 5 trauma bags.
Yeah.
But like it's about how you leave a relationship because you feel like you're not good enough for that person, right? Like that's just fucking heartbreaking.
It's
man.
soul crushing, man.
Yeah, and like I like how when they introduce alcohol, like as like a lyrical concept, this song kind of takes a more kind of positive spin, as if they're like chasing a high, which is like a really cool, just creative like direction that I really like about this track a lot.
It is. And I think I want to backtrack to a comment you made about them sounding like a bar band. I think a general thing about Big Thief that I really like is that they set the vibe so well that you can almost like imagine the tone of like most of their albums like manifest.
Yeah.
Like you can visualize a lot of it in like a way. And I think like I can imagine somebody hearing them at like a bar and imagine if like they played their whole set.
Yeah, and
like-
like someone goes up to them and be like,
Fucking
dude, like I needed that. Thank
fucking
you.
roller coaster of emotion.
Yeah,
I'd be in
dude.
tears.
Yeah, man.
If I heard any of these songs live, I'd be in tears because I do like trucks. But anyway,
Especially Little Arrow.
oh man, no, it's such a haunting melody. I love how the verses are more catchy than the actual chorus.
I do like the syncopation of the chorus and like the vocal delivery, how it is just like very kind of like almost stream of consciousness, and just like how it just keeps going and going, and like all the kind of metaphors and comparisons to like what their relationship is. I also love like the sound of the guitars all over this track, just how like
my God,
how like
yeah.
they slide is really nice, and I just like the full story that this song tells. It's like it is soul crushing. It's like wow, that's tough.
I felt like this track and the last track are. Say what you want about like the themes of this album. I think this album is paced pretty well. Like I think it does a good job pacing wise of like telling the story, and like it feels consecutive.
Yeah.
And really,
and
like,
having like this track pair with the last one is brilliant.
Yeah.
Just showing like the two extremes of like relationships. It's great.
and two extremes of like their playing style
Yeah,
at the time,
totally.
and like their artistic like
Capabilities.
yeah, no, without a doubt. Because I think a lot of the whole thing of the theme of not feeling good enough is because like the singer understands the troubled life that they come from and realizes that there is like work to be done.
Yeah.
And I think like on themselves and stuff like that, and like how it's too turbulent to try and like have
Continue
love grow
that,
from
yeah.
themselves.
Exactly.
So I think it's very mature in how like it has a very mature grasp of like its soul crushingness.
Yeah.
I guess. And I do love
That's
this track
tact,
a lot.
one might say.
Yes. AJ actually reads the dictionary. I don't. I don't fucking
It's
read
my
the
favorite
dictionary.
book.
Yeah. It's so absurd. You just read that's the most Charlie Kelly energy I've ever heard in my entire life.
Yeah, I read the dictionary last night, Frank. It's funny because Charlie can't read.
Yeah, really. Bird law. But we're not talking about animals just yet. We're talking about humans.
That's look at you, Matt. Stop. That's my job. Okay.
Got it. Sorry, sir.
Take it back so I can say that.
You're the one editing this. Oh man.
But I really like humans. I think this one's a lot of fun.
It is, and I think when they get into the more like rock style of their songs, that's one of the strengths of this album.
Yeah, definitely.
And yeah, this song kind of fucks. The guitar on this one is like it's well, the whole track is just rhythmically like driven, which I really like, and I think the guitar pairs well with it.
Yeah.
The drums, honestly, they rip.
I love the drums here. Like the double snare accents they use. I just like also love how upbeat heavy the chorus is, which is really fun. And going back to the guitars, like they're almost shoegazy, especially during the bridge.
Yeah.
Which is like how they sound, which was unexpected but very much appreciated on this track. I love how trippy they sound during that part. And I also like how they keep the plosives in at one point during this track. It makes it feel very raw, which also fits in the whole tone and theme of this album. Humans is a really good track. I like this one a lot.
It is, and I think this one also highlights the fact of the band's strength as like a lo-fi indie rock band, because I feel like they play into it really, really well, and adds to like the raw nature of it.
Definitely.
I also really like the theme of the song about like kind of acknowledging the fact that you don't really let your guard down with a lot of people, but like for some reason with this one person, all of a sudden you start and it's weird.
Yeah.
Because I feel like in some way we've all fucking been there.
It's like, what are they going to do to change that or like make it bad?
You're expecting the worst out of it. Like, what's the catch, the caveat in this relationship? But yeah, no, Humans, very fucking solid track.
Really, really good. Like it a lot.
We're in kind of the last stretch of songs, and let's keep going.
Yeah. Next up is actually I found out like one of the more popular ones from this album, Velvet Ring. Which I guess I can see, but I'm not really the biggest fan of this one.
I understand. I really like the lyrics. I think most of all this one. I don't think the melody is anything like special, if you want to be honest.
No.
This one really reminds me of Paul Simon.
Yeah. Simon and Garfunkel was what I put down for here as well.
Yeah. It's with the guitar.
Definitely.
Because I think I feel like a lot of Adrian's like writing and singing style is kind of reminiscent of that.
Yeah.
Just sort of like this lone
that person and their guitar.
Yeah. You can't see me, family heads, but I tried to do a guitar, but
Matt did turn into a guitar.
I wiggled my fingers in this really weird way.
And now he's a bass.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
I do think it's like a really interesting juxtaposition of her delivery on like the verses versus the choruses, where it takes on this almost like more kind of haunting tone with this like faster tempo and like delivery during the choruses. It's a really weird juxtaposition of tone, but it's cool to see. And I like how they have the outro kind of like skit to transition to the next song, and I'm glad that's like a motif that's being used throughout this album.
I think I like the idea of describing someone's love as thicker than a velvet ring.
Yeah. It's a cute idea.
I think the song is generally happier than a lot of what we've been hearing.
Definitely.
Which might be good at this point in the album as we're kind of like veering toward the end in these last few tracks.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I have an appreciation for it. I wouldn't say that it's like a song that I return to like a lot.
Yeah.
But I understand why people might like it.
Mm-hmm. Next up, we have Animals. I like this one a lot.
It's a fucking banger, man.
Yeah.
Like I said, when you get the fucking changing tempo shit that they do, and then also when they really just decide to push
the instrumentals
with the energy.
Yeah.
It has this like thumping beat. Sorry, when I said thumping, my teeth just like whistled in this way that I really hated a lot. It sounded like a fucking balloon.
Oh, was it Pow Wow?
Oh wait, was that before?
That might have been before. It was Sacknut, Licknut, Look Sack.
Sacknut, Licknut? Is that like Foghorn Leghorn, but like in the worst possible way? Oh my god, it's Sacknut, Licknut. I lick on Sacknut. He has nuts out the entire.
It's like a tanuki.
The rejected,
lick.
The rejected Looney Tune that we all know and love. It's fucking Graggle Simpson of Looney Tunes. That's incredible.
He was always there.
He was. He always will be.
Oh my god.
Sacknut, Licknut. I love that. That's merch. That's merch right there that I will probably never wear. Yeah, no, this is a fucking banger. I like how they have a song called Animals after having a song called Humans.
Yeah, it's cool.
A good like little motif there. This is another one where they do the guitar solo like twice.
Yeah.
As a motif. And
really
I think honestly it works. Production wise, it's interesting. It reminded me of like Hotel Lorette by Joanna Wong.
I can definitely see that.
Have you listened to it?
I have. I thought it was okay.
Yeah, me too.
Listen to our episode or Matt's episode of Family Vacation.
Yeah, it's okay. But I like some of the songs. Flies, that's a good one. But anyway, speaking of animals.
Yes.
But anyway, very much reminds me of like Joanna Wong in terms of its production.
Yeah.
But I will say, I really like the way the drums are with this because at one point they start just tapping on the rim.
Yeah. Like that.
Yeah.
Matt did another hand motion.
I turned into a drum. But it kind of looked like when Josh Peck said anything on Drake and Josh. He always kind of has like
that's how
his whole fucking body into it.
That's how Matt transforms to an instrument. That's his somatic components. I do really like the more instrumental focus that is equated to this song, where it's just like the instruments just have like their own break like after the second chorus, I think. And it sounds like they play with time signature a little bit. Where
it feels that way, yeah.
They just have like little breaks for like the drums to like fill them into like the next section, and the drums just go off during that, which I really like a lot. This also reminded me of Pure Guava, and just the way that like it sounded, just like very crunchy.
I can definitely, yeah.
Specifically, "Touch My Tutor" reminded me of that song.
Yeah, I can actually see that a lot.
Animals is the "Touch My Tutor."
I mean, honestly, it kind of is
a little bit.
I don't think I've been laying it on thick enough. They're really good musicians. Like the whole band, like instrumentally, this album is really good.
It's really good.
It's really good. This is a good one. I think out of like the ones that are like up tempo, it's not exactly like my go-to, but I think it's definitely
always a treat.
It's always a treat, and it's definitely a high point on this album, without a doubt, instrumentally.
Very much so. I did quite enjoy this one on my re-listens. We're approaching the end.
Yes, we are.
Penultimate track, Randy.
This one grew on me. It's not exactly one at this point in the album that like I would say that I really like. However, I do kind of like the more psychedelic approach in the intro. It's so weird because it creeps up on me every single time as like you hear Adrian's vocals like really coming in like super low and then slowly increasing in volume. And it does this thing that it reminds me of this one artist I like called Borns. They were really popular in like mid 2010s.
Gotcha. Okay.
Electropop, psycho pop, Psycho Killer,
if you will,
Qu'est-ce que c'est?
David Byrne.
Yeah, it's equal to David Byrne. That's actually, it's so funny that we're bringing it up. I guess that I brought it up. That's it. There's actually an album by them I really wanted to bring.
Oh shit!
On.
Cool. Well, stay tuned, family heads.
we're gonna keep being Randy as we talk about Randy. But this one's almost as haunting as Paul.
Yeah.
Like almost there.
very much so. If anything, it's kind of like the roles are reversed in this one.
Yeah.
Which I do enjoy. And like, again, this is a very soul-crushing concept of like you having mental health issues and your partner not being available or receptive to you.
Yeah.
Which is just like, again, really fucking soul-crushing.
Mm-hmm.
This one isn't a favorite, I'll say.
I understand.
It's very sour. I do like the distorted sound effects that happen in the beginning that just lay down this very creepy atmosphere. And I like the concept more than like the song itself and like the lyrics, which is a rarity for me. I think the meaning definitely boosted my enjoyment of it, but it's nothing I would really want to seek out. But
consistently try and like seek out. Yeah, no, I understand. I kind of feel the same way. I think placement wise, it's put in a perfect place.
Yeah.
Just right before the last track, because I feel like if it obviously like thematically, it wouldn't make sense to have it earlier.
Yeah.
But no, I do. I think this track serves its purpose pretty well.
And I also like the outro because it sounds like Boards of Canada.
I guess they were relevant to this episode after all.
Wow, full circle.
There is one thing I wanted to bring up. There's a raccoon and a blue jay in her room.
Oh shit!
Mordecai?
Rigby? Mordecai Rigby, if you don't deal with your girlfriend's mental health issues, you're fired.
Mordecai Rigby, if you can't find real love, then you're fired.
Like my parents gave to me.
But Benson, we're the little arrow.
It is true. Benson did not have real love when growing up, if you watch the show.
That's true. The Mississippi Queen episode.
Banger episode.
That's probably one of my favorite episodes of all time.
F-E, more like L-A-M-E.
I'm the Iron Stomach.
Good. I love that show. Dude, coming back.
I know.
You're so fucking good.
It's called The Lost Tapes.
The Lost Tapes.
I'm so excited.
I'm very hyped for it.
Is it an exclusive on Max?
I would guess, but I don't really know. I'd have to double check that.
I hope there's a little bit more of an adult twinge to it.
Because that's what it was intended to be originally.
Yeah.
And then we got Close Enough, which didn't really catch on or get the proper life cycle.
It was decent.
It was decent. I only saw the first season.
More J.G. Quintel.
Exactly. A lot of parallels between a regular show and Masterpiece, I would say.
I would say so.
Yeah, and speaking of which...
Funny you should mention that. Yeah, the last track is called Parallels, and I'm going to say it's a good closer.
Agreed.
It's a really good closer. I think it rounds off the album well as it concludes this like external struggle of everything that the singer has grown up with.
Yeah.
Which eventually paints itself to really be like an internal struggle because after all, it's called Parallels, and it kind of starts talking about how like as much as they were trying to avoid the vicious cycle, unfortunately themes were very prominent that were very reminiscent of this vicious cycle that they'd been going through. And I think thematically it turns out well. Thematically, I think it
achieves its goal.
Achieves its goal. Yeah, it was executed very well.
Yeah.
I also just generally like the instrumental too.
Yeah, I do like how the guitars sound on this one. They're very different from like the rest of the album. They're more kind of like gentle and twinkling, like, especially during the choruses, which I like a lot. And I like how it's kind of back to basics with just the straight ahead rock throughout the most part. And I think the song, it really encapsulates the themes of the entire album.
Yeah.
It's a really nice like send off, just kind of a like, you know, growing up is weird. Overcoming trauma is the worst, but it's necessary for growing. And there's always someone there for you.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. But that's all I have to say about each specific track, unless you have anything else.
I like how the repetition of parallels really hammers home the whole message. And the bass line on 1 and 3 during outro is nice. Even though it's simple, it just feels safe.
Yeah.
That's a word-for-word quote from AJ Tenari.
Oh, yeah, we could tell. It very much sounded that way.
See, that's a man who reads the dictionary every night.
So, AJ, let me get to your final thoughts. No, I'm kidding. I mean, wait, have you ever done your final thoughts first?
I don't know. I'm down to do it. It's your album.
What the hell? Why not?
Let's fucking do it. Yeah, so this album's depressing as fuck.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I went into it with the wrong mindset and the wrong headspace, which definitely kind of affected my enjoyment of it. I also listened to this album at the gym before recording. Not a great album to listen to. Oh my god! Just to be familiar.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Just to be familiar with the tracks.
And
boy,
with
oh
the
boy.
gym, yeah. If you're familiar with the gym, you don't want to listen to this album at the gym. You might have heard of it. Homer Simpson calls it the Gime.
That is true. That is crucial lore to the gym. I like the song concepts a lot and the overall theme this album is trying to portray. And Adrienne Lenker is a very accomplished storyteller. Like she definitely paints a very vivid picture. But just like it wasn't what I was expecting to go into, so I feel like I had kind of a skewed perception of it, and it made me feel really bad after listening to it.
I understand.
Which like is mission accomplished.
Kind of the goal.
Great job.
Yeah,
like she did her job. I just didn't like feeling that way. I think the instrumentals are peaks and valleys for me. I feel like at points it sounds like very bar bandy, and it's kind of like there's not a lot differentiating it to like really boost my interest. But there are a lot of really cool things that happen on like Interstate, and Animals that like they play around with rhythm and like tempo and time signatures. It's like really cool, and you can see that they are accomplished musicians that went to Berkeley. But this whole album carries a very sour, heavy feeling.
Oh yeah,
which is definitely the point. But it just like made getting through this album like a hard journey.
It's a tough pill to swallow.
Definitely,
a lot of these lyrics.
Yeah,
so that's really understandable.
Which is life.
Yeah.
I think the content is very relatable and presented in a very poetic way. But the instrumentals and overall sound left me wanting more.
I understand.
So I think it's a very solid enough that doesn't really pique my musical interest personally. So I'm going to give this a C+. And highlights for me are Vegas, Interstate, Humans, Paul, and Animals.
The fact that Paul made it on there,
yeah,
makes my heart warm. I'm going to be honest with you. I gotta be honest. I was worried about what you thought about that one. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, the boy, like the effect it had on me, I was like, damn, that's a good song.
Okay, good. I wasn't even when you were describing it, I wasn't really sure if you liked it or not. I couldn't really tell.
No, I enjoyed it.
So I really have grown to like this album. I started off listening to Masterpiece and Paul separately because they came on algorithmically in like a ready to listen to playlist that they do every day. They being Spotify.
Not Big Thief themselves.
They send me in the mail.
Yeah, you're their number one listener.
They wanted to test the demographic for the remaster. Like, is this good? And I personally think it is. I think I started off really liking the sound quite a lot, like especially on songs like Vegas and on Humans and even Interstate. Like, I really like the sound. And then eventually I really was liking the sound so much where I really wanted to pay attention to the lyrics, which is also part of the reason why I wanted to bring this album on. Because one, having a debut album this like
raw
is really gutsy.
Yeah, dude.
And I respect the hell out of that.
Definitely, because they found an audience like with it, which is great.
And they were able to not only grow their audience, but kind of then direct their music in a way that was thematically more palatable.
Yeah.
But I think this was definitely the good stepping stone for the band to go into the direction that they were going to go in. Because you should everybody out there listening, you should really listen to Big Thief. They have a lot of great material, especially on their latest album. I just really wanted to bring this one because although Dragon seems to be one that everybody is really gravitating towards right now, I don't know. I think this album was deserving of a remaster because when I tried to listen to the other album, it sounded kind of flat.
I'm curious, like, how different is the original to the remaster? Is it like Twin Fantasy like levels?
I wouldn't say no. This was not recorded on a 3DS. Though I'd be very fucking impressed if this originally was. No, I would say that this album is it's not that drastic, but there definitely is more of a three-dimensional feel dynamically. Like the bass was definitely not as prominent on the old mastering. Same with the drums, if you want to be honest with you. I felt like the only way I could describe it was it really just felt condensed together into like a cube, where this one just felt really like
spacious.
I thought music was playing for a second, and I was about to be like, how did you do that?
Matt, that's my secret.
AJ just has a fucking launch pad here real quick.
I'm the one who turns into the instrument.
That's crazy. I straight up, because like it made like a banging reverberating sound.
Yeah.
So I straight up thought that you played like a sound that's supposed to be reminiscent of like the endless void of space. And I was about to be like, how the fuck did you do that?
For those who don't know, You could probably tell I've been hitting my fucking mic stand all episode.
It's okay. I hit my chin on the microphone itself earlier.
But I just hit the springs on the bottom, which caused that mysterious ethereal noise.
Guys, leave a comment if you've ever hit the springs.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
All my spring hitters.
I really like this album a lot. I've definitely grown an appreciation for it. It's not my favorite, but I'm very happy that they remastered it. Because I think it's really important for people to hear how the band started, especially given where they ended up.
Yeah.
So it's been a very long, not so linear direction thematically over the course of their discography. And I don't know. I think it's cool to see Adrian Lenker's writing style, even if it's not the most palatable themes.
Just kind of like putting herself out there like so like boldly, as you said, is very admirable.
Despite me liking this album a lot and wanting to really gush about it because I really like it, I would probably put this as like a low B.
Yeah.
Because I just very much have an appreciation for it. And I think like I would definitely listen to a couple of the songs like outside of the album.
Yeah, oh totally. Absolutely.
But like listening to the whole album like again and again, it might be kind of damaging to my mental health.
That's fair. You take this in doses.
Yeah, no, be very, very careful. Don't listen to this at the Gaim, okay?
No, nuh-uh.
Never.
I made the worst mistake of my life.
I tell you. No, yeah, no, I very much have an appreciation for this album. I would give this like a 7. Yeah, no. I'm very sorry that it was so misleading as you were going to. I can't imagine working out or like going to the gym. I mean, after listening to this album.
Yeah, at that point, I knew what I was getting into. It was more so like, okay, I just need to get like more familiar with these tracks. We're gonna suffer today.
Time to listen to some country.
Time to do leg curls to Paul.
Oh God! Just crying as you're doing your like crunches.
I'm not good enough.
It's terrible. Oh my God. Well, if you've lasted this long, family heads, thank you so much for listening. This was a pretty good episode, I think.
I agree. And always remember, Earl Sweatshirt's wrong. There is somewhere to go.
That's true.
If you're suffering from any kind of mental health issue.
There's also only some rap songs. There's not a whole lot of them.
That's true. Just some.
Just some.
There's some.
Don't you fucking forget it. Otherwise, I'm going to fuck your mom.
That's true. That's canon.
Yeah, it's on the wiki.
That is on the wiki. If you look there right now.
I'm going to fuck your dad, too.
Okay, add that to the wiki. Oh, well, I think that'll do it for this week's episode of the Family Album. As always, I'm your host, Adrian Tenari.
And I'm Matt Glass.
Thank you all for listening and for your constant love and support, and we'll see you next week for our next guest episode.
Peace!